Good afternoon and good evening to town meeting members. My name is John Phelan, and I'll be presenting the FY21 budget. I'd like to thank the Belmont School Committee for their support, Chair Andrea Presswich, Secretary Catherine Bowen, and members Amy Checkaway, Mike Crowley, and Tara Donna. Belmont Public Schools always connects its budget to its mission statement, which states, with a commitment to teaching and learning, the Belmont schools strive to nurture the knowledge, skills, and emotional development of each student in order to create a community of engaged learners who contribute to the common good and are of service to others. Today's presentation will have several components consisting of everyday successes in our partnerships, FY21 budget challenges, budget overview, and highlights and assumptions, and also next steps in the budget process. Everyday successes in our public schools mainly come with engaged learners who perform at a very high level. As you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, Belmont High School continues to rank high in the top 10 of high schools in Massachusetts and the Boston area, as well as 375th nationally. We have great students doing wonderful work through the National Latin exam. 21 middle school and 40 high school students took the exam and did very, very well throughout the state. Belmont High School student Alec Westover was named the finalist for the Renajon Science Talent Search, which is a nationwide science math competition. Congratulations, Alec. Everyday successes come in our schools through volunteering, whether it be for the Belmont Food Pantry, clothing drives, or raising money by the hockey team for Dana-Farber on behalf of a student who would have been a current senior this year. Congratulations to all of our folks who are doing this volunteering work. In classrooms, there is learning taking place, but there's a tremendous amount of learning and experiences that our young people have in co-curricular and athletic environments. In our visual arts and performing arts programming, whether it's be drama, music, band, chorus, we continue to have high success throughout the state, and Belmont High is recognized for that success in the performing arts, as well as through our athletics. Our hockey team were co-state champions this year. Our cheerleading team was the Middlesex League champions, and all of our student athletes that perform each year for our school represent the community so well. And this year, unlike any other, in March, the school district needed to shift to remote learning. This came with challenges when we wanted to pivot and ensure that we could engage students from home as we were not able to enter school due to COVID-19. I'd like to thank the Belmont teachers and staff and administration for all their work to pivot to remote learning during this very, very difficult time, and recognize the projects at home that were being done, the videos of thanks that were shared, and the community spirit that was engaged during this time. And I'd also like to thank all of our parents and guardians and family members, as they too were part of this process of remote learning, as they took on some of those challenges of day-to-day support of their children with classroom tasks. All the partnerships that we share in Belmont are unique and absolutely valued. Between the Belmont Boosters, Belmont Against Racism, Friends of Belmont, our parent-teacher associations in each of our schools, patrons and POMs, all do a wonderful service to our teachers and our students. And the Foundation for Belmont Education, who continues to be the leader of support for the Belmont Public Schools, their teachers and their students, who, without their support, we would not have been able to pivot to a remote learning environment if it were not for their one-to-one initiative several years ago that built the foundation of our work here in Belmont that we're doing today. Thank you to the FBE. We're going to turn to budget challenges as we move to the next part of the presentation. As you know, each year we talk about our enrollment, which continues to be a challenge, in our per pupil expenditure, which we always try to move forward, although it remains a concern as we compare ourselves to other districts and the state. A side note with our enrollment is that we did seek an updated enrollment projection from the McKibbin Associates, and we will be receiving that information later this month, and we'll share it out. That new information is not included in this presentation. As you can see from our enrollment for the elementary schools, we see our peak year was 17-18 or 18-19, and we continue to stay at a very high level of about 365 to 70 students per grade at the elementary level. This wave of enrollment continues all the way through the 25-26 school year and does not start to decrease until the 28-29 school year. So we still have a full 10 years more of consistent high enrollment at our elementary schools. At the middle school, we are beginning to peak in our enrollment. We are currently this year at 1,500 students, projected to be 1,579 in the 2020-21 school year, and peaking in the 2021-22 school year at 1,621 students. And as you can see from this chart, the numbers don't really go down as much as they level off at over 1,500 students at the Chenery Middle School. And lastly, at our high school, we have not even hit the peak yet. We are continuing to see our increase in enrollment move through the middle school and up to the high school in the coming years. And in the 25-26 school year, our high school will peak at 1,667 students. That is over 300 more students than we have in our high school today. In this final summary chart, on the left-hand side, you can see the totals for the 19-20 school year, which lead us to, in yellow at the bottom, 4,633 students. As we move across that bottom line, we look at the peaks of each grade in what year our district will peak. And as you can see, at the elementary level, we believe we had our peak in the 2017-18 year, but our enrollment remains high. Our peak will be at the middle school in the 21-22 school year, which will be about 405 students per grade. And our peak at the high school will be the 25-26 school year, which we will have up to 417 students in each grade at the high school. As you move to the right of the gray next box of data on the table, what you can see is our average class or grade size in the 27-28 school year will be 365 at the elementary, 379 at the middle, and 397 at the high school. These are the sustainable averages that will be in place for the next 10 years in the Belmont Public Schools. These are not peaks, these are the average class sizes. As you can see, enrollment continues to be a significant challenge as our budget has not been able to keep up with the amount of students that we serve. When we look at per pupil expenditures, we have used this metric to continually update and provide the insight into where Belmont stands as it relates to how much they spend on education for each child relative to their peers around our neighboring communities and the state. This is a list of the communities that we like to compare ourselves to, and we have been keeping track of this data for the last 4 years, so we can just see where Belmont stands as it relates to per pupil expenditure. The table on the top shows a numeric average of the state and Belmont of the per pupil expenditure from FY11 all the way through FY18, which is the latest Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed data. As you can see, Belmont expends $14,246 per student in FY18. That is the number on the far right of your screen under FY18. The state average right above that number is $16,495. That average is $2,249 more than what we spend in Belmont. So again, it's worth repeating that the state average per pupil expenditure is $2,240 more per student, or 15.8% more. Therefore, Belmont is spending $2,200 less for every child that we serve. As you can see below, the cohort of districts that we like to compare ourselves to spend on average $19,098 per child. Again, we spend $14,246. That's a $4,800 per student difference between the districts that we compete with and we neighbor and we compare ourselves to. That is a 34% difference between what we pay per child and what other districts pay per child to educate their community. These are significant challenges as we try to serve our growing population with a limited budget. Initially, our FY21 budget was presented in January and February of 2020. This is all pre-COVID overview. The FY20 budget was $60,649,451. And back in January, we proposed this initial budget with a roll forward number for staff and obligations existing of $2,129,377. We also requested 5.8 FTEs or teacher components that would cost $400,000. This $400,000 number was part of the original Financial Task Force 1 budget planning, and also the health insurance that we would have for those new positions of $90,000. And we did add money towards an extra bus as our growing enrollment is a challenge to get students to school. We also had an external cost driver with health insurance that went up by 4%. That was adding another $357,773. And at that time in January and February, the district was able to reduce its request from the town general fund budget and utilize more state and federal aid to save the town $1,700,000. This reduction to our budget in our special education reserve was able to be done because of the high balance that we were able to maintain in circuit breaker and federal aid in order to make sure that we could safely budget our special education costs in a reasonable and conservative manner, as this has been a change in how we have done business from the last 4 years. We have been able to support our special education lines with a healthy budget due to the override and due to some very conservative budgeting, and therefore we were able to give back $1.7 million in one-time funds to the town. However, we still needed to add money for transportation and other special education costs, but that $1.7 million, I believe, supported the town's need to make FY21 work with limited funds. However, since COVID environment came up and the revenue was short from the state level and the local level, all town departments had to go back to their drawing boards and reduce their budgets even further. After meeting with Town Administrator Patrice Garvin and her staff, as well as with Tony DeCollegiero at the school department director of finance, we were able to work with the school committee and the members of those working groups to reduce the school budget by an additional $1,020,800. These were reductions that were very hard to come by and will have a negative impact on our ability to serve our children next year. The first line of reductions was the reduction of supplies, custodial overtime, and substitute and salary line of $361,307. We needed to eliminate the 5.8 FTE teaching positions for $400,000 in the partnering insurance for those positions. Please keep in mind that as we just went over the enrollment for the middle and high school, and you saw that increasing number of students coming into the district, those 5.8 FTEs were targeted for that enrollment increase. 4 of those teaching positions were going to the middle school to support the 2 largest grades in the district next year, which would be grade 6 and grade 7. And the other 1.8 FTE positions were going to the high school, all of which would be helpful or would have been helpful to reduce class size and caseloads for our teachers and our students. This will be a significant challenge to be able to come back to school in September, where these class sizes will continue to grow, these caseloads for our staff will continue to grow, all of which will be challenging when we're trying to make good relationships and build relationships with our students, and that takes time and that takes lower class sizes. And the last reduction that we made as a school district was to index by 3% our health insurance rate as opposed to 4%, with a savings of an additional $169,493. This total reduction, the second reduction for draft 2 budget, was $1,020,800. When you see the draft 1 budget on your left that was done in January, the adjustments in the middle column to prepare for draft 2 of our budget, and on the right-hand column, farthest to your right-hand screen, is the final FY21 draft 2 budget. The FY21 draft 1 budget column shows the original proposal that we put forward in January and February, starting with the FY20 budget of $60,649,451 And as you work down that column, it is the expectation that we roll folks forward. We prepare for our strategic plan cost drivers, and it shows the 1.3 million, which represents a 1.7 million savings to the down. The middle column represents the reductions that I just explained. And the final column to the right is the FY21 Draft 2 updated budget with the second round of reductions of over $1 million by the schools. The total budget that we're looking for with the reductions in place is $61,485,641. Some of the highlights and assumptions that we want to be clear and communicate to the town meeting and the public is that the school general fund budget for FY21 is $61,485,641. The roll forward of all existing positions takes place, but no additional positions are included in this budget. An additional school bus for a total of 10 will be added, and health insurance premiums will be increased by 3%. Federal grants will be budgeted at the FY21 in the FY21 budget at FY20 levels, and user fees will remain the same in FY21. In our special education section of our budget, we did have a decrease from our FY21 general fund budget. We decreased our general fund request for special education tuitions by $1,700,000. This was a one-time adjustment based on favorable state circuit breaker and IDEA grant allocations in FY20. This was done to support the overall town budget and is a one-time adjustment that we are able to do to make sure the town's budget in its overall aggregate sense can meet its expectations. Our projected tuition costs are informed by the district's multi-year out-of-district tuition plan that we work with our school finance department with and our school committee's finance subcommittee, as well as the warrant committee. Special education expenses, other than tuitions, have been going up by the Financial Task Force Index of 7%. Please note that this number that we're requesting in our budget for circuit breaker has not been reduced by the traditional 25% of all other state revenues that we anticipate going down. So we are assuming that circuit breaker will be supplied by the state 100%. And if it does go down, like other state funding revenues are going down, we would have to revisit this budget line, as that reduction will be substantial to the Belmont Public Schools. COVID-related assumptions and next steps. As you know, we are all working in a COVID environment where we're looking to reopen our community and our economic society and moving schools forward as well. We have taken money in FY20 that we had available because we were not in school, and we used those dollars in FY20 to purchase devices so every single child can have a one-to-one device if in fact we need to be able to have a remote learning environment next year. We also dedicated over $100,000 of our FY20 dollars to provide and purchase personal protective items so we can ensure that when we have our students return in the fall, in whatever capacity they do, that our staff and our students will have the necessary items and cleaning materials and protective gear to go to school safely. In the weeks and months ahead, we will be working with the state and the CDC and our local health department to ensure the planning and options for the district to move into the 2020-21 school year safely, whether that becomes a full return to school or a modified school year or working remotely with our children. With these kind of variables involved, we are making sure that we're clear with our community that whatever items we may need or whatever adjustments we may need to make to our budget to ensure the safety and engagement of our students in a safe manner for school in the 2021 school year, that we will utilize different lines in our budget through our budget bottom line authority to address those needs. The school department and the Belmont School Committee are recommending and requesting that town meeting vote to approve the FY21 general fund budget of $61,485,641. This amount does not include estimated state and federal grants and revolving fees, which are budgeted at $9,799,793, resulting in a total budget of $71,285,434. Thank you for your time.